All right, you guys asked for some Scotch content, so here we are. So back in May, Laphroaig Distillery announced the release of its Carchas 2024 Cask Favorites Single Malt Scotch Whiskey. Even though when you see this word, it looks like Cardias, it's actually pronounced Carchas.
Done and done.
Why should you know that? Because it means friendship in Gaelic, which is kind of nice.
So beautiful.
This 10-year-old Carchas edition was created by master blender Calum Fraser to pay homage to the first Carchas offerings that made Laphroaig what it is today, a rich and distinct Scotch whiskey. So come right back and see if it's worth the purchase. It's the Mash and Drum. What's up, folks? I'm Jason C, and welcome back to the Mash and Drum. Like, subscribe, and help do all the things to help me hit that 100,000 subscriber landmark here in 2024. Appreciate the support, everybody. So Laphroaig Carchas 2024 Cask Favorite celebrates 30 years of friendship, a 10-year-old expression that pays homage to Laphroaig's past releases, including 2019's Triple Wood and 2021's PX Cask. So for this release, the triple maturation process for this starts with classic Laphroaig peated single malt aged in ex-bourbon barrels before being transferred to quarter casks. Then the spirit went into Pedro Jimenez casks, more precisely sherry hogsheads and also sherry butts. Once it came out of the barrel, the whiskey is filtered and bottled at natural cask strength. Another cool fact is Laphroaig is one of the few distilleries that still uses a traditional malting floor rather than just commercially malting the barley. If you guys have never heard of floor malting, it's more of a traditional process that involves steeping the grain, transferring it to a concrete floor to germinate, and then you literally turn the malts by hand at regular intervals. Now, the process can add character to a distillery, but it can also be very expensive, labor intensive, and a little bit inconsistent compared to the modern mechanized malting methods. So another fun fact, turning it by hand with a shovel is where the term monkey shoulder comes from. Because when you have this huge malting floor with all the malts laid down on the ground, you have to turn it by hand with a shovel, and when you do that repeatedly over time with just thousands of pounds of malt, you eventually hurt your shoulder, and that's called monkey shoulder. All right, so this is available now. It's bottled at 52.4% ABV. It's all natural color, so that means no artificial color added to make it look darker, and hosts a suggested retail price of $109.99. However, I have seen this cheaper. I think I saw it for $90 online somewhere, but it is also a 700 milliliter bottle. All right, so since I poured this, it's been acting as a very nice air freshener for my whiskey room. I mean, it's so powerful already. This is a bottle that people have been talking about for the last couple months, and I decided to pull the trigger on it. I mean, look at the color of this thing. When you talk about ex-bourbon and ex-sherry, that is right up my alley as far as what, Scotch maturation. When I heard the stats for this one, I'm like, okay, I'm all over this one. Let's give it a quick review. Here we go. Immediately, you get that sea salt, you get smoke, but it's a very sweet smoke. And now Laphroaig, to me, typically, I get more of a ashy, almost cigarette smoke type peat, especially for the regular, just ex-bourbon finished Laphroaig. However, this one is more of a sweet peat. Raisins, dates, galore, almost maybe like a Fig Newton, I think. I mean, it literally just smells like you're outside at like a campfire, just hanging out with your friends. It's so cool. But there's some underlying fruit-forward notes here. There's a slight note of peach I get, and also pomegranate, kind of like a pomegranate seed, something very tart. Pomegranate, cranberry, either one of those. Just a fantastic nose. All right, let's give it a try. Well, my palate is shot for the rest of the day. Wow. So all those little nuances I was getting on the nose, it's kind of crazy how they just kind of went away on the palate. As soon as it hits your palate, it is just all smoke. It is an onslaught of peat smoke and dark chocolate. I get so much chocolate on this so far. Wow. That dark chocolate covered raisin is just coming through immediately, and I'm here for it. I love it. It's so good. It's like eating a box of like dark chocolate raisinets at a campfire. That's basically what it tastes like. But that PX sherry influence on the back end gives you a really nice sweetness, especially on the finish. But it all just is all encompassing with that big smoke flavor it has. That sea saltiness comes in as well. It's almost like a sea salt chocolate note. It's also very drying as well. It's got a big drying characteristic. I think when you have the smoke, then the fact that it was put into a quarter cask, and then on top of that, a sherry cask, where you're just pulling a lot of moisture out of it, it definitely has, you know, a big drying effect. But there's so much going on in the front and the mid palate, I don't really mind it. The more your palate gets used to it, the sweeter it gets. Those peach, that peach note I was getting on the nose is actually coming through on the palate, as well as like that tart pomegranate note. This is delicious. This is, I'm glad this was recommended to me. I do want to call out Top Shelf Whiskey, Mike and Dustin for telling me to try this this whiskey and definitely give it a go. I think they loved it. They bought multiples. I could see why. It's very rich. It's very dense. It's dark. It's definitely a little drying, but I think all the flavors you look for in a really good peated whiskey is there, especially if you like that double maturation with ex-bourbon and also PX sherry coming together. Big smoke profile as you sip it. It definitely all comes together. I think as this opens up, it's just going to become more and more integrated. It's delicious. So I am going to add just a couple drops of water to it just to see what happens. Kind of funny, I'm using a wild turkey mug to add water to this. All right, let's see if the water did anything to it. It really did. It actually brought out more of the bourbon notes in it. So now it's more caramel vanilla heavy a little bit. Oh, that's really nice. The smoke is still there, but it actually got a little bit sweeter with some water in it. All right, let's give it one more try. Yeah, same on the palate. I actually like it without the water because I think the PX sherry notes take a little bit more of a back seat. The bourbon heavy notes kind of come to the forefront. That is one of the better scotches I've had in a while. I think I haven't done as many scotch reviews because, you know, it's hard. Since I reviewed the Bunnahabhain 12-year cask strength, I just haven't come across a lot of on-the-shelf scotches that really have wowed me, but this has kind of changed all that. I'm not going to really do a final breakdown of this because I don't really know the full story on this one. I do know, as I said, the price is $109.99. I did find it for actually a little bit cheaper online. You can find it online right now. I'm not really sure if there's a resale market for this one, but I will say, if you like peated scotch, you like that bourbon sherry maturation, a lot of the flavors I was mentioning, this could be a huge pickup for you this year, especially if you like peated whiskey. I don't, you know, besides the Bunnahabhain 12 cask strength, I don't think I've had a scotch this good in quite a long time. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed this review for the 2024 Cartridge Cask Favorites Single Malt Scotch Whiskey. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit the subscribe button below. Please hit the like button, and if you haven't yet, follow me on Instagram. Let me know, all you Scotch heads out there, if this is one that you've discovered already, what you think of it. Should I be trying others? You know, are there other recommendations that you have that are maybe newer, that kind of fall into this flavor profile? Let me know down in the comments. As I always say, it's not about the whiskey, it's the people you share it with. Cheers, and I'll see you next time right here on the Master and Drum. Cheers, folks. This thing is delicious.